that beautiful music, the intro music for Planetary Gig Talk. Welcome everybody, namaste. Jefferson Glassy here, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. Have another great conversation today. I can't tell you, there's so much synchronicity here. It's just more than I can practically comprehend and understand. But just to start off, hey, Chrissy Kirkwood of the Monastery, a spiritual home for artists in Nashville, Tennessee. So great to have met you. So great to be able to talk with you today.
So glad we can do this today, and grateful that I met you maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah,
I think it was like 2 months ago.
yeah, that was our friend, our mutual friend Clifford Kaufman.
But yeah, and it is his birthday today.
It
Happy
is?
birthday, Clifford. It's his birthday today. Yeah.
You won't hear it on his birthday, but anyway. Yeah, so it was again kind of synchronistic. We were looking to do some concerts for humanity. The Planetary Gig Society has been sponsoring last couple of years some concerts for democracy, and now we're broadening our focus to all of humanity. And we've, Clifford recommended the Music Monastery. I said, "Oh my God, that sounds so awesome!" And we had a great time. And the whole time we're talking beforehand and everything. It's a beautiful, idyllic thing that you have. Maybe you could just describe before we, get into the real conversation about the healing sounds of the universe and all that stuff. Um, how did you? What is this that you're doing there, and how did it come up? How did you come upon this? And yeah, what's going on with the Music Monastery there?
Yeah, I'm tempted. Do I give you the longer version or the short version?
How long is good? Long is
Long,
good.
good. So the long version of it is all started with a near-death experience for me
Mm.
in 2013.
Mm.
And in 2013, my life leading up to that point was very transactional. I was very much like work, work, work. I didn't even play music in my 20s. I was so detached from music. But in my teen years, I played a lot of music. In my, like that was my connection. 2013, stressed out, almost died, had MRSA in the hospital. And then I was like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? Like, I only have so much time on this planet. And that near-death experience really brought it to reality of like, oh, I don't know when this heart of mine is going to stop, or these breaths. I just don't know. I don't know how many I have left. So what do I really want to do here? Because I don't want to just keep working and then die. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was, yeah. And then I had a couple months of healing from that. So I had a forced break. I had a forced sabbatical because of my health. And during that time, I watched documentaries about permaculture, about spirituality. There's one called I Am, who is like the same director. It's like Nutty Professor and those funny movies. I forget that guy's name, like Shinda. It's a weird name, but he put out this documentary called I Am. And I watched it like 14 times during my healing period, because I was like, yeah, this is right. Like, why do we get rid of the old people in our society and put them in nursing homes? And why do we have all our kids in these daycares? And then, these cycles of money and poverty and all this stuff. And so then at the time I started a project called the Urban Eco Village. And I would just have all these drum circles and all these parties and 25 people, 50 people, but it didn't have a core. It didn't have a very spiritual intention. It was just like a celebration, like, hey, let's get together.
Yeah, fun. Was that at where you are now, or is that a different place?
Same location, different brand experiment, Urban Eco Village. And then about 2019, toward the end of that, I was like, okay, this experiment, this is cool, but something's missing. This isn't quite it. Like, like I'm tweaking my little knobs on my experiment. I'm like, no, this isn't quite it. And then the tornado happened of 2020, March 2020. Tornado hit this place and everything stopped. Just And also another grand pause for me to really think, what do I want to do with my time? How do I want to be of purpose with this property? How can I serve in a way that feels good to me and not just feels like, draining? Or I'm not trying to create a party house, but I kind of created one with that brand. So 2020, I had this friend who was doing these visioning things, and we were talking about this project, and he was giving me feedback, and he was like, Chrissy, I don't know, it sounds like you have a spiritual home for artists, because we were like rebranding I was like, that urban eco village doesn't fit. He's like, this place is like a spiritual home for artists. And I was like, Jared, you're right, this kind of is, and it says it in the name. It takes out all the party stuff. It's like, no, don't party here. This is something else. This is a different kind of party, but a spiritual home for artists. So that's when I was like, all right, I think that's what to do. And then researching to do a nonprofit or a spiritual organization, it just made the most sense to do a spiritual organization. And then from there, I was like, all right, well, that's the entity. But what do I call this location? Because this just isn't going to be just like, one spiritual home for artists. Then I saw like, oh, this is the music monastery. Why? Because music. This is just all music all the time. The food is part of the music. All of it is music. The bamboo blowing in the wind, the birds sing, all of it is music. And because this property is zoned for a monastery, just it's just approved. I don't have to get permission for it. It's zoned for a monastery. So I was like, you know what? That feels like the right situation. A music monastery.
It does.
A music monastery. And that's how it came about.
Oh, it's just brilliant. I mean, it's like a physical place with a real intention. It seems in a purpose, which is like a church, but it seems almost more authentic and real and down to home than some, worshiping some dude up in the trees or whatever it is. It's a little more.
Yeah.
And where it could you? I've been there, but
Yeah.
how do you describe where it is? It's on the other side of the river from downtown, and
Yeah.
is that what you say, or is it?
Yep. It's a mile and a half from downtown Nashville. It's in East Nashville, which is a very like artistic, eclectic part of the city. And the other thing I want to say about so it is a church, like it is legally a church, but because there's so much trauma around spirituality and religion around these parts, that's the funny thing. Like I just was doing all these drum circles since 2008 here. And even though it wasn't officially like, hey, this was a drum church or this or that, I could tell that people were having spiritual experiences. They were finding their unspoken religious experience without all that, that BS that people are trying to get away from. And spiritual home for artists, the essence of that also is like through your personal exploration and your self-discovery, you will find your spiritual home within. Like everybody's spiritual home is within themselves, and everybody is an artist. You just have to find the art that you choose to do, or the different forms of art. So that's that also. But yeah.
And it's interesting. I mean, being a nonprofit lawyer, I know a little bit. I don't do a lot of work with churches, but I do know enough to know that you don't, if you set yourself up as a church, at least as the IRS views it, it doesn't mean you have to be a Catholic church or
Correct.
this or that. It can be the church of good hope and great feelings, or the church of music.
Of nature, rhythm, meditation. It doesn't have to be Catholic. It doesn't have to be a temple or a synagogue. It could be the forest. It could be when, people come together and play music. It could be whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what that freedom.
it's really great. It's remarkable. I think it's not well understood that this is kind of a type of entity that you can have, and it's similar to the music ashram that I kind of was called to in Rishikesh, India. where, their intention is attuning divinity and serving humanity. But it's really a music ashram, and music is the core, and music is what people are there for. But people come through from all over the world to visit there and experience in their case, the um, classical Indian music and sitar and those types of things. But I mean, you've got an amazing spot right there. And we did Roy Wooten and I did our concert for humanity there along with John Tinger. We
Yep, in the basement, in the gathering room. Yep.
gathering room, but you got all this space out in the yard, and you had the one woman making mocktails, and
Mm,
so it's really there's drum circle space and all kinds of space. It's a great thing. Let me
thank you.
yeah, let me double back and just ask what I like to ask, because you mentioned you played music in high school. I'm always
Mhm.
very curious how music came into people's lives. And do you have a memory of that? When was that you picked
Yeah.
up guitar? Was it initially some other instrument, or was it singing in
Yeah.
church? Or how did music tap your shoulder and say, "Hey"?
Well, okay, so in the Philippines, when I was in the Philippines from age 0 to 4, and apparently my go-to movie that I'd put on repeat was Sound of Music. So that 3 times a day, apparently. Like I wanted that on the TV all the time. And then apparently when I was a kid, they gave me like just one of these play guitar things. I don't even remember that. But what I do remember is in America, if my first instance or interaction with music that I remember was piano lessons. And most Asian kids have to play piano or violin. It's a stereotype and it's pretty true. But I was forced to play piano for a couple years and I hated it. I didn't like the instruction. But I do have some foundation of that. Um I don't I just wanted to like play piano and explore it myself. And finally my mom allowed me to quit piano. And I took a couple years break, and then finally I went back to piano on my own and did whatever I wanted to do. And I was like to play by ear. I like to feel it out. I didn't like reading music. And so that was, it was piano for me. And then after a little bit more of piano, just, personal, just exploration with it, making songs up, I joined the high school band in the drum line, and I played snare and like bass. So I had those foundations of marching band, and the entrainment of like being able to walk and tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it. And then I just remember when I wasn't drumming, I would just always be drumming, whether I'm in the, just constantly all that. And then I, as a teenager, ended up getting a free drum set from my neighbor, like an old drum set. I wanted one for my birthday. My mom was like, heck no, I'm not getting you this loud piece of equipment for this house. Heck no. But when my neighbors gave me one for free, she couldn't say no. So my first drum set was in the garage in Anaheim, California, and it was free. And I love to just like, yeah. So that. And then after that, my grandma bought a book for herself. She wanted to teach herself guitar, and she bought herself like an acoustic Yamaha and a guitar for dummies. And she never ended up playing it, but I did. And then I taught myself guitar. And then for me, music was the place for me to sort out my feelings. It kept me company. Like I had a special relationship with music because I didn't really know how to have friends. I didn't really know how to do that growing up. We didn't socialize with other people. We just like had our family gatherings and, never got to do sleepovers or any of that traditional stuff that most kids do. So music was my one of my big friends.
That's such a great story because it's so organic. I think a lot of people, I mean, some people just take to music like, ducks to water. Other people like me probably were pretty musical and danced around a lot and did things as kids, but then as you get older, it kind of gets drummed out of you, if you will. You
Yeah.
and you begin to think that other people are musicians, that's not really for me. I don't have any talent, yada, yada. But yours was just such an organic, you just sort of opened yourself up to different, pathways of music, and it just showed up for you. And of course, now it's taken you on this journey. It's kind of amazing, to just be able to host all these people for drum circles and things.
Yeah, it's really okay. And here's the trippy part. I forgot this one part. So when I was a teenager, I think I was like 14, 15, somewhere around there, my older sister took me to Venice Beach, California for the first time. And there was a drum circle. And there's drum circles there like every weekend for like ever on the beach. And that to me, honestly, was the first time I experienced an unspoken religion on the beach. Like
Mm.
nobody talked to me about it, but I just saw like all these walks of life, druggies, all these everything, just like Venice Beach is just like the full spectrum of everything. And everybody is just connected through rhythm. You might not even speak English. You might not even have the same political beliefs or, any of that. But all of a sudden, everybody's just talking hardcore and rhythm and feeling it. Yeah. And that was a big aha for me. I was like, wow, I think this is my church. Because we would go to like Catholic church, and all I remember from Catholic church time, because I did go to Catholic school for a little bit, but all I remember was I would get donuts before church and I'd get Carl's Jr. after church. Everything that happened in church, I don't remember. I don't know what those balloons are, but
Yeah.
but donuts and Carl's Jr. I just remembered the food that I would receive, like that was my celebration. I was like, I don't know what they're doing in this church necessarily. But anyway, drum circles at Venice Beach.
Yeah. So, I also like to ask people that I interview, well, what have you seen of the power of music? But you just answered that question.
Oh, I can go deeper into that too, the power of music. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
the
What, I
teenage.
mean, yeah. How do you observed it sort of almost, you just felt it,
Yeah.
the person with the drum circles, and then
Mm-hmm.
how has that expanded or changed?
So when I was a teenager, experiencing it for the first time, no drugs, no alcohol, just sober, just feeling that like bare feet on the sand and feeling the unity of the humanity. There's like 100 to 200 people on that beach. And there's no other, like, I could not think of another reason or why people would come together like that. I didn't know about festivals or any of that. It's like, wow, these people are just coming to drum, percussion. Wow. And then so I got really into playing percussion after that,
Mhm.
because before that I just played with sticks because of the drum line. But then with the drum circle event speech, I was like, wow, all right. So I started to teach myself percussion. And then the power of music. So I've been hosting drum circles in Nashville and improv music jams since like 2008. And what I've seen with music is people feel so connected. They can walk into a room feeling so depleted and just kicked by life and just exhausted. And then they're jamming, they're flowing, they're re-energizing, and it's so cool. It is an unspoken like spiritual connection to be able to connect musically, rhythmically. Um, yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of healing power too. Like people, they're exploring their own healing through rhythm. They're exploring letting go of judgment that they've carried on their back for so many years because people told them, you can't drum, you don't have any rhythm, you can't dance, you're not a musician, you should go, don't focus on music, go make some money, things like that. So there's all this baggage people have to let go of. So my exploration, because there are people who can teach you drums. I teach people play in it, and I don't even teach it. I just try to like, just this non-judgmental, just playful, curious environment because I feel like that's how I personally wanted to explore instruments first. Like, don't tell me how to do it. I want to hang out with it for a little bit. I
Hmm.
want to touch it. I want to feel it, and then I will ask questions, kind of thing. So
Well,
that's like,
you're very wise, and it's very profound what you're doing there. Um,
Mm.
and so, I mean, I'm giving away all my secrets about the three questions that I like to ask. But the last one is, how do we tap into this power of music to make a better world? And on the one hand, I mean, you're doing it.
I'm trying. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just one foot in front. I'm just trying to, yeah.
I hear you because I don't know what I'm doing either.
I don't know. Yeah.
We went to start the Planetary Gig Society, and it was kind of based on an idea. Well, then what do you do? Oh, well, maybe we should have some resources about the power of music, have some content. Yeah, okay. What about a podcast? How do you do a podcast? I had no idea. So yeah,
Yeah.
making it up as we go along.
Yeah. We're
But
making it, figuring it out. Yep.
what
And you're
it,
doing great, by the way.
thank you. It's fun. I mean, I don't want to be, giving guitar lessons or doing so many things that everybody else does. I just want to explore, talk about, promote, support, proselytize the power of music. And, Victor Wooten and his books and the camp have just really sort of turbocharged that whole focus and effort. But
Mm.
so, I hear you, you're just kind of making it up as you go along, but what are do you have more sort of down in out in the future a little bit more, some ideas about how, we tap into the power of music and can, make people happier and maybe not have so many wars and stuff like that?
Right? How do we manifest world peace, Jefferson? How?
Yeah.
um, well, I can tell you like what I'm doing here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so like yesterday we had a song circle of sorts where we were making up like we were doing some Sanskrit mantras. We're sitting in the front yard with a guitar and a couple singers, and we were just improving on some Sanskrit mantra, and that fed everybody's soul on Monday. Did it for 2 hours from like 6 to 8, and it's not a paid thing. There's no money involved in it. People just show up to sing, and
Great.
that feels really really good. And it's not instruction either, because people are coming off of their work day. Some people really want to be told what to do, but I feel like other people just need that like spaciousness to just like just exhale a sound, just explore it, just sit, just be. And so there's that. In terms of events, there's some events coming up where you can come to a drum circle on a Friday night. It's donation based. There are 3 special events that we've got coming up that are celebrations and concerts for humanity. It's the
Woo!
woohoo, and it's sponsored by Planetary Gigs, and it's the 3rd Friday of the month for June, July, and August. And those special events are going to have a drum circle. There's going to be a song circle, a cappella song circle for humanity, and then we're going to break bread and maybe a fire.
It sounds so great. I mean, it was really, again, the synchronicity when we met and we did that concert there. And, Planetary Gig Society would like to see more of these types of events, but, we're just a little rinky-dink sort of charitable organization. But you have this kind of infrastructure and like a group of people that, you're already hanging out with or coming playing music. So it made just great sense to be able to support your efforts there. Uh,
Thank you. Yeah.
Sponsorship and some shaker eggs. Some
Oh
shaker.
yes. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I want to incorporate that into I'm going to incorporate that in the song circle as part of I got really inspired by the Fonging book and the egg shakers, mentioned in there and stuff like that. So we're going to be incorporating that. Thank
Yeah,
you for the shakers.
it is fun. It's something a little different. You can, carry a little instrument around in your pocket, kind of like a harmonica, but you don't have to, know,
Yeah. Instead of shake a leg, it's shake an egg.
shake, shake your leg and an egg, whatever you got. So
Yep.
it's just really great. We're glad to be, helping out with that, assisting with that. And I think there's another thing too that is so great about what you're doing. I'm kind of an old guy, but young people is where we really need to make the difference. And young musicians, I think people who are playing music who really get it with music and who want to tap into music to help make their lives better. Man, that's what we need around this world. And so glad that you're out there doing that. I mean, you're literally been doing it for years, almost a couple of decades, providing a safe space and a place for people to really get their music on. So young people, come on, let's thanks for doing what you're doing to help, so many different types of people, walk this path.
Thank you. Can I speak one more thing about the elders and the young? Like the it's like the for me, it's like the bookends of existence. Like an airplane. When people are born, they're arriving. Or an airport, they're arriving on the planet. And then when they die, they depart. So our souls are either arriving or departing. And another reason why Spiritual Home for Artists exists is because I think there has to be a more closed loop, sustainable solution for like what happens for people when they are too old or too sick to make money. Like, where can they live? And also there are these stories of like nuns that they're homeless because they're where they've been living and they've devoted their life to a place, and they're homeless. There's all these stories of I forget what they call like where those nuns, like, it's not, I don't think it's a monastery, it's something else, but there's problems like that and we don't have a solution. And I want to do some kind of housing thing with Spiritual Home for Artists. Like, the vision is that there are many spiritual homes for artists around the world, but also there needs to be a place for people to be able to depart the planet peacefully and with their soul at ease. And that could be the music, the nature, the food, and then the arrivals. Because if these mothers who have to work full time and cooking a baby and stressed out, those babies are already starting out in a deficit. So we have to get those bookends.
Yeah, that's really important. I mean, you're quite a innovator and spiritual leader, and I'm just happy to be, talking with you, hanging out with you, affiliated with you, and
So
maybe just let people know kind of how to get in touch with you. There's a website or Facebook or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So to get in touch with Spiritual Home for Artists, you can reach out to sha615.org, or you can Google Music Monastery Nashville. We're on Google Maps, or you can find us on Instagram, Music Monastery Nashville. And yeah, very grateful for our time together.
Yeah, it's great what you're doing, and I am gonna be at Victor Wooten Spirit of Music Camp August 12th to 16th. So when you have that celebration and concert for humanity, that the 16th, I'll be there. We'll see if we can have a little bit of a,
That's
fun,
great.
do some uplifting, vibrational uplifting.
Yeah, maybe invite all the spirit campers to come for a big after party.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I will, whoever.
yeah, sounds
So,
great.
well, Chrissy, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm really happy to know you, as I said, and that we're doing all these things. And, it's kind of like onward, here we go. We're just going to
Yeah.
keep doing it, right?
I feel like we're kindred. We have similar missions for humanity on this planet with our time. Like, and I'm grateful that we've connected. I'm grateful for Clifford for that. And yeah, let's keep putting positive ripples out there for humanity.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, it's Chrissy Kirkwood, everybody. Music Monastery, spiritual home for artists in Nashville, and hope to see you all there. Thank you.